welcome to this week's episode of GameMaker for Beginners. In this week's episode, we're going to be looking at how to create a simple patrolling enemy for our platformer level. Now, if you remember back to the last 2 weeks, we've created a platformer level where we've got an avatar that can move around where there's gravity, so if my avatar jumps off, gravity will pull him down, and where we've used sprite sheets to create animations, so when he moves left and right and up, it creates animations, where it plays animations that make it look like he's running. So that's where we've got to in our previous weeks, and this week we're going to add in an enemy to make it a bit more challenging and a bit more exciting. So, previously to creating this video tutorial, I've created a very simple enemy sprite. If we have a look at him, you know, it's a masterpiece of art. That's what I've got there, and I've animated it just so it looks like, if we look down here, it looks like he's moving and walking. So I've done that already. The important part of this tutorial is not going to be in creating the sprite, it's going to be in the creating the object, so creating the interactive object and putting it in the game level itself. So first thing we do after we've created a very simple sprite is to right click objects and go create object, and we'll add our enemy sprite to that, and we'll just call this enemy object. There we go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use a create event, so we're going to go add event and create, and remember a create event is our way of telling GameMaker that when this object is created to perform certain actions, and the actions we want to create are, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add gravity to our enemy sprite. So just like in previous weeks where we created our avatar object and added a gravity system to it, we're going to go under the create event, we're going to go down to the control tab and select the first code icon and drag it over, and we're going to enter the following code, and that code you can find it on the YouTube page, and that will be under the comments or the description section of YouTube. And that code is if place 3 xy plus 1, then gravity equals 0.7 and the gravity direction is 270, which is straight down. Otherwise, if the place isn't free, so there's something beneath us, then gravity is 0. So I'm going to copy that in, so grab that from the YouTube page and copy and paste that into the code section of your GameMaker. There we go. So I've pasted that in, so right click paste, and then when that's pasted, click tick. So what we've done there is said when the enemy object is created, to add gravity and to make it so that if there's something beneath us, gravity stops, but if there's nothing beneath us, so empty space, then we fall down. The next thing we're going to do is move to the move tab and drag over the white icon, the white arrow icon that's facing to the right, and that sets the horizontal speed. Now, horizontal speed determines the speed and direction in which our object moves. If we type in 3, then it's going to move at a speed of 3 to the right. If we type in -3, then it's going to move with the speed of 3 to the left. We're going to set it to move to the right to start off with. So click OK with horizontal speed of 3. And then we're going to add an alarm event. So move to the main 2 submenu, and the timing section, there's a little green clock icon. Drag that over. This is an alarm clock, and this is going to tell us that an alarm clock is going to go off. We're going to tell it the number of steps. We're going to type 30. So in 30 steps, which is equivalent 1 second, alarm 0 will go off. Click OK, and then go to add event and select the alarm 0 event. And what we're going to say is when the alarm does go off, so alarm 0 event, go to the move section again, the move submenu, and there's a green arrow that's doing a little U-turn. We're going to drag that over, and that's going to reverse the horizontal direction. So when alarm 0 goes off after 1 second, it's going to turn around and go in the opposite direction. And once again, we're going to go down to the main 2 and drag across the green clock icon to set the alarm. And once again, alarm 0 will set it to 30 seconds. Now that's going to create a loop. So every 1 second, every 30 steps, we're going to reverse the direction we're going in. So it will create kind of a loop effect where it moves one direction, and then a second goes by and it moves another direction, and then back and forth constantly. The next thing we need to do is we need to add an event that's a collision event with the wall and the floor. So go add event, collision, and then select the object that is your floor. So mine's called wall. The wall object's also the floor. So we're going to say when the enemy sprite collides with the wall, and we've got another bit of code to drag over here, so go to the control submenu and drag across the first code icon again. And once again, this code here is going to be on the YouTube channel, so this is the collision event code. So copy that and get back back into GameMaker and we'll paste that in. And what this says is, when we collide with the wall, or when the enemy sprite collides with the wall, it moves to contact, so it moves against it, flush against it, in the direction it's going, and it sets the vertical speed, so the speed at which it's moving up or down, to 0, so it stops it moving up or down. And click the tick. So essentially that's kind of tethering us to the floor, so it's stopping us falling through the floor, or stopping the enemy object falling through the floor. We've got one more thing to do, and that is a step event. So if we go and create a step event, remember a step event is an event that happens every single kind of second of the game, or 30 times a second. So step event is something that keeps on happening. Once again, it's a code, so we're going to drag that code across. And the code, once again, you can find it on YouTube. I'm going to copy and paste it off my Word document here. And what this piece of code does is, it says every second of the game, if we're moving in direction 0, which, if you remember, last week or the week before we looked at directions, direction 0 is to the right. So if we're moving to the right, then set the image's X scale to 1. That means that the image is going to face in its natural direction. However, if we're moving in direction 180, which is to the left, then flip it, so -1, so that the image will flip on its horizontal axis and face the opposite direction. And let's tick the button and click OK. And now we're just going to place go into the room, and we're going to place our enemy object. So go into the Objects tab of the room settings. Make sure you've selected your enemy object from the drop down menu by left clicking and select enemy object, and then click and drag, and there we go. So we've placed our enemy there, and click tick. We need to do one more thing, and that thing is we're going to need to tell our avatar what to do if it collides with the enemy object. So double click your avatar icon and go add event, collision with enemy object, so select your enemy object from the collision submenu there, and under actions what we'll do is we will tell it that we want to restart the room, so restart the level. So go to main 1, and under the room section here, the third icon along, which is the room icon, the white icon with an arrow pointing directly upwards, is restart the room. So let's click the preview. Now what should happen now is we should have an enemy object that moves left to right and constantly loops, and when we hit the enemy object we restart the room. Obviously, as well as restarting the room, you could add health to your avatar, and you could set it so that every time you hit the enemy object your health goes down, or if you're picking up coins you could tell it to lose your coins. So there we go, there's our enemy object moving left to right, and every second it moves in the opposite direction. See, it's always facing the direction it's moving in, and if it hits us, there we go, it restarted the room. Excellent stuff. There we go, perfect. So we've now got that, and we can add as many of them as we want, and we'll add another one there. Fantastic, so you've learnt now how to create a very simple enemy object, create an enemy object and add it to your platform level, and I look forward to seeing them. Thank you very much for tuning in, and best of luck.